Hey, welcome back to Fab Fun. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 picks for tractor add-ons. Now those can be attachments, add-ons, accessories, whatever. We'll go through my 5, but first I want to talk about why I'm doing this. Ben Kennedy from K&H Tractors challenged me. He's going to be doing a video of his 5 top picks for tractor add-ons. He received the challenge from Ed at My Clutter Garage, another great channel, and he received the challenge from Lucas Peak at Peak's Peak Hobby Homestead. Ben Kennedy at K&H Tractors, My Clutter Garage with Ed, and Lucas at Peak's Peak Hobby Homestead. They all have great channels. They're all fun to watch, very informative. They do a lot of neat things, so I recommend checking out their channels. But since I was challenged, I'm going to fulfill my responsibilities, and then I'll send out a challenge to 3 more. Just to review what the other channels have gone over so far, Lucas at Peak's Peak Hobby Homestead, his top 5, which you should check out his explanation of why he picked these. But number 1 was to get a trailer. Number 2 was to work out some kind of tie downs, some aftermarket accessories. Some tractors might already have those tie downs, but he got some aftermarket ones for his Kubota BX. Number 3 was a toolbox that he installed close to his left foot in the operator station. Very handy for him and doesn't get in the way for what he does. Number 4 was fluid-filled tires. I think that's a great pick. You might see that coming up a little bit later. And number 5, upgrade to a backhoe. For a Kubota BX, getting a small backhoe along with it makes it really handy for doing more and more small jobs. And, you know, honestly, Lucas does some pretty big jobs and a lot of work with the Kubota BX, a subcompact tractor, so it works really, really well for him. Very maneuverable, gets into some tight spots and lets him do the work that he needs to do around his homestead. Now Ed at My Clutter Garage, he picked a different 5, kind of. His number 1 was a skid steer quick attach plate or adapter or whatever for the loader, so that you can attach to different attachments where your bucket would normally be on a loader. So not the pin on, but a quick attach like skid steer style. Number 2 would be a grapple. And going right along with that, number 3, the third function valve, which you would need for a grapple to function. Number 4 would be a canopy, keep the sun off of you. And number 5, a quick hitch. It makes 3-point hitch hookups a lot easier when you've got a quick attach or quick hitch on the rear of your tractor. That being said, we've covered Lucas at Peak's Peak Hobby Homestead. You should check out his explanations. And Ed at My Clutter Garage, check out his. Ben's I haven't seen posted yet. So at the time that I'm making this video, it hasn't come out, no explanation, but I'm sure Ben will do a good job. If I had to guess, it would be a baler, no, a big baler, a small baler, and a hay spear, and probably a hay wagon, or maybe an international truck to pull the trailer that hauls the tractor and the hay. I don't know. What do you think, Connor?
I think so.
Now when I decided to do my list of top 5 tractor add-ons that I recommend, I wanted to think about accessories, attachments, big features. I am assuming if you're getting a tractor today, unless you have a very specific task that you're buying a two-wheel drive tractor and you don't need a loader, maybe you've got something that's very specific and you're probably not watching this video anyway. But if you are watching this video, you're probably looking for some recommendations. I'm assuming you're getting a four-wheel drive tractor anywhere from a subcompact up to a utility class like this size. Much bigger than this, you're probably a professional farmer and you don't need my advice anyway. The work that I do is mostly just property maintenance. Taking care of things, cutting some firewood. There might be a little bit of mowing here and there, some dirt work. Very, very simple stuff. So my list will probably make more sense for people who are doing those types of things. Mostly property maintenance, taking care of about 21 acres. So that being said, I didn't want to focus on all the small little options that I'm assuming you're going to get when you buy a tractor. A loader, four-wheel drive, you're going to have rear remotes to help you operate some equipment that you might purchase in the future. Another thing that you're going to want to get, I recommend, are the adjustable lift arms. It makes hooking up attachments a lot easier. If you don't have that, then maybe recommend a quick hitch for the 3-point. Those are things that I think you should definitely look at. If you have an option to finance, or if you're financing a tractor and you want to finance a third function for your loader, I would recommend that as well, but you can also save some money and do it yourself, which is what I did. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the things that I really want to focus on are the bigger options and other attachments that you're going to buy, not just an accessory or an option you might have on your tractor when you go to buy it. So thinking like rotary cutters, big attachments like that. Number one on my list, which I think Lucas nailed at Peaks Peak Hobby Homestead as one of his top 5, I'm going to go with number 1, not only for functionality, giving you traction, but number 2, safety. Very important if you're doing any loader work. And that number 1 pick is?
Liquid wheel ballast or just steel weights.
Steel weights. Anything you can do to get more weight on the tires in the back to give you more traction, give you more safety, and balance everything out when you're doing loader work. You're never going to regret having it unless you puncture a tire and it all leaks out. Steel weights won't do that, but they're also more expensive, so you have to weigh your costs there and decide which one's right for you. On my tractor with 16.9 by 28 tires, I think I'm around a little over 1,400 pounds on the back of the tractor by having rim guard in it. So that helps out a lot. 1,400 pounds that's with me everywhere I go, everything that I'm doing. Just gives me more traction and a lot more safety. And that brings us to number 2. The carryall that I have, I probably use more than any other attachment that I've ever had on the tractor. It functions as not only a toolbox and a truck bed, it's really something that just anything that you're doing with a tractor, it's handy to have that stuff with you. Chains, chainsaws, gas, an axe, a machete, some basic tools that you might need when you're out. And it provides a hookup point for logs when you're pulling those out. Also functions for counterbalance. So having that available is very handy and comes in with a strong number 2 for me, having a carryall for your tractor. If you're doing property maintenance, you've got some woods, definitely recommend it. Number 3, I think it's very important, and you're probably going to want a third function or run your own. I've got a video of how I did that, but a grapple for your loader comes in very handy for property maintenance. When you've got a tree down, you've got a neighbor that's got a tree down, it makes cleanup of brush and the tree tops when you're limbing out a tree. It makes that a lot easier to take care of, dispose of all the stuff that you're not going to use for firewood or lumber if you're doing your own milling. I like a fork grapple for transporting logs. It makes things a lot faster and easier there. But if you're just cleaning up brush and just tons of stuff around the property, you're just trying to rip it out and get it out of the way, having a root grapple really helps with that. You can pick up all kinds of debris. So forks, if you're going to be processing a lot of lumber or firewood, I like that better. If you're just clearing land, a root grapple is probably going to work a little bit better for you. And they do overlap a lot in their functionality, but the forks don't hold lots of smaller stuff. So when you're cleaning up debris, a lot of that falls through. Just depends on what you're going to use it for, but I recommend a grapple. I don't think anybody would regret having one unless your entire property is paved in concrete. That brings us to number 4. Now, I'm all about increasing the functionality of a tractor so that it handles multiple jobs. And so that's why for number 4, I'm gonna pick some type of mower. Whether that's a rotary cutter and you're cleaning up trails or fields, doing a rough cut, or if you've got a finish mower, maybe you've got a little bit smaller tractor than what I've got and you can do your yard with either a belly mower or a 3-point finish mower. So you can actually accomplish a lot of that mowing responsibility you have in your yard. My tractor wouldn't be very good at that because it's heavy enough it'll cut ruts just about everywhere I go if it's not perfectly dry. So a mower, whether it's a rotary cutter, a finish mower, belly mower, or maybe a flail mower. Those are getting to be a little bit more popular. They seem to work in some denser brush and give a pretty good cut. I like those. I'd like to have one, especially an offset flail mower for mowing ditches. Ditch mowers, disc mowers, all kinds of things like that, whether you're in hay production. Being able to mow with the tractor, I think makes it very versatile and covers a wider range of responsibilities when you take care of property. Coming to our last pick for what I use the most and what I think is the most handy for number 5 would be a rear blade of some type. Whether that is the typical rear scraper blade or if that is a box blade, whatever makes the most sense for what you need it to do, I think it's very handy. I use my rear blade for spreading out gravel, I use it for removing snow, and I use it for leveling out land a little bit when I'm moving some dirt. If you have a box blade, you might find that a little bit more handy for driveway repair. With rippers, you can pull some of that gravel back up and smooth it out. So if you have a long driveway for maintenance, my driveway is pretty much a parking lot that sits right off the road, so I don't have a lot to maintain there. But I wouldn't mind having a box blade for some of my neighbors and family to take care of their longer driveways. My rear blade, again, comes in handy. It's fairly versatile. I don't use it all the time, but if you're in an area where you've got a lot of snow and you don't want a snow blower or don't want to invest in that, a rear blade would serve more purposes and still help remove that snow. So number 5, a rear blade of some type, whether that's a box blade or just a rear scraper blade. And now to pick 3 channels to pass it on to as a challenge to them to give us their 5 top tractor add-ons. We're looking at the Fabbed Fun Friends of Fame. And we're gonna pick Tractor Talk with Gary, RCAF Polar Express, and Try New Things. RK25, be interesting to see what somebody would pick a level above a subcompact. Dave, RCAF Polar Express, having the Mahindra that he does, and he lives farther north. He's kind of in town, but he uses his tractor a lot to help his whole community. So we'll have him give us some information there. And then of course, Gary, who lives on a legitimate farm, has to do a lot of work too. So let's get an explanation of what he thinks would be the top 5 tractor add-ons. Guys, thanks for watching. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you haven't, subscribe. We appreciate it.